Welcome back to Project Reworked and my Suzuki A100 restoration.
Really struggled with these forks to get the fork seals out, so you should be able to just pull up on the stanchions and split them apart. I just couldn't get them apart, and then started second guessing myself as to whether they should actually come apart and I should just dig the old seals out, which is what I've started to do here. So I think I'm down to the rubber seal now, but the seal was really hard and brittle, and I spent ages trying to get them out. I know I was screwing to the rubber of the seal to get the seal out. I'm pretty sure these wouldn't have been out since the bike was new. In the end, resorted to chatting to one of the mechanics at work. He suggested I try a bit of heat on them. Generally the front forks though were in really good condition. Hardly any pitting on the stanchions. Just getting a bit of heat in the outer so that expands, and there we go. They're out. Just feeding my wire wheel addiction and cleaning up. Fitting the new seals is pretty straightforward. This is clearly not the correct technique. You've got to go with what you got there. Just moving on to some of the plastic parts. This is one of the side panels that had a big crack in it, so I've just heated up the end of an old screwdriver, and I'm just trying to smooth over the plastic to get rid of the crack. Ended up using some hot staples to put some sort of stitches across there, laid them sideways, embedded them into the plastic. Yeah. Thank me, yeah, I'm having fun. Hey? I've no idea what the time is. Is it? Well, it's my screwdriver, but I'm mending the plastic.
Is that right? Is that what you reckon it's called?
I'll show you why that's what. So it turned out quite good, a lot better than it originally was. That was Jenny bringing me a cup of tea. I do enjoy some of this work, and sort of tend to get in the workshop and forget what the time is. Just mixed up some two-part epoxy and just fill in that. It was never completely flat because there was if you like, a dent in the plastic that I couldn't really get out where it had been bent previously for so long. But it looked a lot better than it had originally. Struggled with these plastic panels to get paint to stick to them properly. This was an attempt or one of the attempts at getting all the paint off, there were layers of different colours of paint on the side panels, especially the one that you see there on the bench. So I think that the bike ended up a bit of a parts bike. I think the guy I bought it from had probably bought a couple of bikes, used the best of both bikes to make a good bike, and I got what was left, is what I think I bought. So the panel on the table had red paint, I think it had black paint originally right over the top of it, red paint, and then I think it was like a purpley blue paint. But I'm just scuffing these up, making sure they're smooth, using spray filler, which is out of an aerosol, which is really easy to use and gives quite a nice base in which you can then rub down with a really fine paper to give you a key for the cut colour, whatever paint you're putting on. Not too fussy with spraying these because I'm only using spray filler, so they're going to be rubbed down again before proper paint. I'd love to be able to spray paint properly, but I actually quite like doing it, but I'm not patient enough. So here I should have just left that as a dust coat and come back to it, but it just feels like you've got to keep putting a little bit more on. And the spray filler is very forgiving, so it doesn't matter too much. So the headlight shroud and the rear shock shrouds, same sort of treatment. Get all the paint off, back to bare metal. Just tried to clean some things up as I went with the wire brush. Clearly the front fork springs don't really need to be cleaned, but sort of got carried away a bit with the wire brushing. Front fork shrouds, they were in pretty bad condition. I had to knock some dents out, push them. I think I used some big sockets to push up on the inside to push some of the dents out from the inside, but also the brackets were, so when the light sat on the bike, the brackets weren't square and weren't straight, so spent a bit of time sort of fiddling with those to try and get them so that when they go back on the bike and the light's in the right place, that both sides look the same.
So a lot of all the wiring centralised behind the headlamp on these bikes. Pretty much everything comes into the headlamp and then goes off to the switchgear or back down to the battery or to the engine. It's all colour coded, but someone had been in here and changed some stuff previously, so I was just going through and making sure the right colours were going to the right connectors. Also running through with multimeter to test continuity of some of the wires or some of the wiring, because there are some joins in some of these wires in the compartment where the battery sits, so just behind in the press steel frame, just behind the air filter. Lots of double and triple checking of the circuits. Break from that to install the clutch lever. All of the cables that came with the bike were sort of okay, but dry, so we spent a couple of weeks in a bowl of ATF, which actually cleaned them up nicely and also lubricated them nicely, so managed to use all of the original cables, which was good. Having ridden this bike since, I think ultimately I need to replace the clutches near the end of its life. It seems to engage very slowly. Contemplated the placement of the horn, couldn't remember where I took it off, but that's where it ended up. The previous owner said the bike had a new battery. It had a new battery, but I think that was probably some time ago, but managed to get it on charge and it seemed to come back to life. That's the battery cradle that was straightened and welded and painted. Had a little bit of adjustment to the horn so that it actually rang and vibrated properly rather than just vibrated and didn't make an actual noise.
Being naughty, Maggie. Sounds like it's in pain.
Yes.
Come on, out here.
I need to see if I can clean it. So side panels back on. They're all still in primer, but just sort of test fitting. Tank back on. And the original seat just running through all the wiring, making sure everything works. So I didn't have a chain guard for the bike, so I actually made this out of a piece of brushed stainless moulding that I found at work. It just so happened that it was partly the right shape, especially with the mounting hole here. I made that fit, just cut some holes in it with a hole saw and shaped the back. So it's not original, but it was free. a bit more trimming to do, and got to make a bracket for a rear mount for the back of the guard. So just fabricating the little tab to secure the rear of the chain guard to the bolt that holds the lower rear shock. Decided to rivet the mount, the rear bracket onto the guard that I made. It should be strong enough and it's nice and neat. So we're just left with the seat to reupholster, but that's for next time. Thanks for watching. Leave a comment and thumbs up if you've liked the content.